Today's sponsor is Loot Crate. For less than $20 a month, Loot Crate gives the geek in you a special treat every month. Loot Crate's a subscription box service with $40 worth of geek, gamer, and pop culture gear, collectibles, apparel, comics, and more delivered to your mailbox every month. This month, they're bringing you a fight for the ages. Suit up, choose your allies, and enter the arena for combat. They're ready to stand their ground this month, and exclusive items from Blizzard, Fallout 4, Capcom, sponsor-worthy loot from the Hunger Games, as well as a few more items will help your winners emerge victorious in this box. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when the cutoff happens, that's it. It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/KFGames and enter code KFGames to save $3 on your new subscription today. Third topic of the day. It's this whole Konami deal. Let's get right into this. Kotaku says, seeing how Konami took Kojima's name off the Phantom Pain's box art, dissolved his studio, and canned Silent Hills, it's hard to see him staying on for the for any of the stuff, especially considering the rumors about Konami's work environment. Recently, Kojima said what seemed to be his goodbye to the series. Then Konami confirmed the Konami LA studio has been closed and said, when we start development, a large-scale investment will become necessary, in reference to the next Metal Gear game. While the paper reports that Konami is merely examining plans for another Metal Gear, Konami previously stated it would continue making more games in the Stealth series. So guys, what does all this mean for the industry?
Konami's getting out of AAA games.
Totally.
Yeah,
this is it.
we talked about it. That was the thing. It seemed that was the rumor forever, right? With the rift between him and Kojima, the fight over all this stuff, so on and so forth. They released Metal Gear Online 4 weeks ago, tops. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember. It was October, right? Second week October, and now they're already closing down the studio that made that part. That were the guys who were like working on that game. They're gone now. They say that in their press release, of course, that now it's just moving to Japan. People are still working on this game. They'll still support it. It's still coming to PC, next year or whatever. It's like, okay, we'll see how supported it really is and what that means. But yeah, I think it's all platitudes in the way of Konami acting like they're still going to do it, but I don't think they are. This also jumps back to the sales that came out for how Metal Gear Solid sold, right? Yeah, 5 million units. It's like that's,
in a month.
That's good. It's not great. It's not the juggernaut numbers, and I'm sure the people at Konami who are saying, let's get out of the console business, we make more money on pachinko, we make more money on these things, we do, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're now pointing at this and saying, see? We were right. It took him how long to make this game? How many millions of dollars? And this is what it returns immediately. Like, let's change our focus. Let's get out of here and let's go this way.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Them saying that they need what's the exact wording here? That for the next scale thing to happen, they're going to need a large investment.
Right.
Is what they're saying.
Well, they're going to. I mean, they're definitely going to.
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money to make a game like Metal Gear. I mean, the purported rumor about Metal Gear's development was about $80 million, which is not out of control for a AAA game. I mean, AAA games go way higher than that. This brought up an interesting question. Another conversation I was having with some folks on NeoGAF based on a conversation we were having on PS I Love You with anecdotal evidence about the way a game makes money. And people are talking about, well, Sony or Konami grossed whatever, $180 million, so they're already profitable. I'm like, that's not how it works. The money a game grosses is irrelevant. It's completely fucking irrelevant. That means that generally means, unless there's caveats, that the gross at register at retail, we sold X amount of copies at $60 and we grossed X amount of money. Mm-hmm. That's irrelevant because it doesn't take into account anyone's cut. It doesn't take into account taxes. It doesn't take into account all of this shit. By the time the money falls to Konami, how much money do they have? Mm-hmm. And Konami's not interested, by the way, in breaking even. Mm-hmm. They're interested in making money. So if they invested $80 million 5 years ago, then A, they're going to need more like $100 million to break even today because of inflation. And then they want to make money on top of that. They need to make so they can have capital investment to put into the next game. I think Greg's right in the sense, and we've talked about this, that $5 million, I don't have any baseline of what my expectation was with Metal Gear to sell, other than I thought I was going to do better than $5 million in a month. Now, those numbers to me seem soft based on the incredible, pull of the game. This game has great gravity to a lot of hardcore gamers, and those sales don't seem that impressive to me. I think most, as we were talking to our friends, in the industry about it, people would murder for $5 million units sold. So I'm not trying to say that that's not like an impressive thing. That's a great success for a vast majority of games. But for Metal Gear, I expected a little bit more.
Yeah,
and I
especially
wonder,
across 4 SKUs.
Exactly. And so I wonder if, I don't know if it's profitable. I really don't, because the $80 million rumored cost, and I'm not sure if Konami ever said that. I mean, I've read that before. But let's assume it's $80 million. That is the money that it needed to develop the game. What about marketing the game? Yeah. How much did that cost? And then how much did the studio, or the publishing apparatus have to pay to just, how much does HR cost you over 5 years? How much does does having just an HQ dealing with first parties to test the games? How much did focus testing cost you? How much,
or even just
like
time, like the time that it takes to promote the game, the time for marketing, even aside from the cost. When it's like E3 and stuff, there needs to be so much planning and so much stuff that goes into the presentations and the trailers and the this and the that, in addition to traditional marketing of ads, and commercials, and
exactly. There's just a lot of things up in the air about what this game costs to make. It was in development for a very long time, and they say that they're interested in doing the next Metal Gear game, and I'm sure that they are interested in that. I'm not sure that they're going to pull out of AAA development completely, but maybe not yet. Maybe I'm sure that seems to be the desire with some of them, is to minimize, to mitigate risk, to make them the most amount of money. And you don't mitigate risk when you have AAA games because they take huge investments and you don't get that money back for years. So, and you just don't know how it's going to work out. Plus, if I were Konami, I'd be very, very scared of moving forward Metal Gear without Kojima. Not because they can't make a great game or an even better game without Kojima, because they can if they find the right people. It's like, what do the consumers think about that? Mm-hmm. Are people going to be there for Metal Gear Solid 6 when you shit all over the guy? It seems like the guy that is responsible for the series to begin with and had a very bad, tenuous relationship. And let's just say that it was all Kojima's fault. That's not going to matter to anyone.
That's not how it played in the press. Everyone thinks Konami's the evil person that did this and forced out the guy they love. Right?
Exactly. For all we know, Konami could, we might find out when the story started to be told that Kojima was a rampant fucking egomaniac and a prima donna, and who knows? I'm not saying that that's true or that's false. I'm just saying we don't know the whole story.
There might be justification.
Yet it's always going to play out against Konami's favor. So they might be looking at it being like, we just need to
distance ourselves from all this
anymore. Yeah. So there's a lot of questions that I have about this particular situation, and it's not surprising that the LA studio was shut down. What's surprising to me is that they've not been very good about communicating any of this stuff. I mean, saying Kojima was on vacation when the guy who broke the story is tweeting out pictures of him at his fucking going away party is classic. Mm-hmm. So
that's the thing, and that's the whole thing, is Konami's been tone deaf on this front the entire way. And so I wonder how much they worry about what the audience thinks of them or whatever. You know what I mean? They haven't stopped to try to clear this up. They haven't made it clear what's happening. They're only putting out this statement about LA now, but as far as we know, Kojima's still on vacation. You know what I mean? There still hasn't been confirmation.
And he's probably technically on vacation because they're probably paying him to
exactly,
the end of the year or
exactly.
So it's just all a battle of weird words and what
semantics
they mean. Yeah, exactly, and what they mean. I don't know.
I find it so bizarre. If you would ask me when we were talking about Metal Gear and reviewing and doing all that stuff, how this would play out, I would have said that it was pretty. I think the rumor's always been December is when Kojima's number is up, right? That he can actually be gone and free or whatever. I would have said we would hear in December that he was leaving, and then the LA studio would have been closed early 2016. Mm-hmm. I think it's crazy that it's closed this close to Metal Gear Online. You know what I mean?
Well, especially to online, to the game releasing, I think it's even close.
The game releasing, Metal Gear's the Phantom Pain, that was all done at Kojima's Japan studio. So I understand there's nothing there, but for online, this thing you just put out, and now it's there's no future for that game. I don't care what you're saying. If they're talking about it being no, we're bringing staff on to the Japan team and they're working on it. And it's no, I don't believe that they are. I don't believe there will be support for that game from here on out. And I don't believe it was a game that was it hasn't turned heads, right? We played it here and did whatever, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it since then. And there's a hardcore following for it, sure. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
you're the fucking Metal Gear 5 dude, right? And it's it didn't hook you in the way that has you playing every day. So. Yeah. So what do you, with all of this then, with Kojima on vacation and with him putting out
that's still my favorite thing.
The video that you were in where he kind of was that video felt like a wrap up for him.
Sure.
That was the goodbye to the series. And where do you guys see it now with, it's official that the LA studio shut down, Kojima's on vacation. When do we hear about this stuff? Do you think it's still December?
I think December, yeah. They put it out because you figure that makes sense on a lot of levels. First, I think it's contractual. It would be the reason I've heard of why that's the thing that's been kicked around the rumor forever. But on top of that, it's just people are away from their computers. The news cycle is very quiet. You know what I mean? People are, IGNs and GameSpots are taking vacations. Kind of funny, it's taking a vacation, right? So it's it'll be a press release and it'll be up, but will there be videos to react to and outrage to have and all this different stuff? And then the real question is, when does he talk about it? That's what fucking fascinates me to no end, right? Mm-hmm. If it's true that it's December that everything ends for him, then what happens next? You know what I mean?
PSX, he comes out and announces an exclusive Crash Bandicoot.
Holy shit!
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's so the hanging chads, as it were, for this remaining for the what remains for the story are going to be fascinating in the sense that the story about Kojima is going to be told. It's not going to be told by him. It's going to be told by, you have to assume, he's probably going to be contractually obligated not to talk for a long time.
Yeah.
You have to assume that it's going to be told by proxies and anonymous sources, and these stories are probably going to start coming out early next year. And I this is a story that must be told, and whoever really gets to the bottom of the story is going to have a lot of respect for me, because this is going to be a tough one to chase. And like I've said about The Last Guardian and Team Ico and all that kind of stuff, this is a story that's probably better known in the Japanese press, and because there's a language barrier, we're not going to get the scoop right away. Just like I assume that, you know, the shit with Yoeda and all that kind of stuff at Sony was well known in Japanese press, like off the record for a long time, just like we know a bunch of shit off the record about a bunch of things too. So it's going to be fascinating what we figure out about that, but it's also going to be, there's two other things that are going to be really interesting. What is Kojima going to do, and where is he going to land? And I am dead set on there being a fucking major bidding war, and I do not think he's going to go independent. I think he's going to end up with a publisher, because they can fund his games. And then Konami's in a lot of trouble, because any of the remaining talent there that's loyal to him, he's going to poach them all. So I'm interested to see like what happens with that, and like what the bloodbath might be at some of these studios, especially Kojima's studio in Japan, if he's just like, we're all going. Yeah. You know? And then if Metal Gear costs $80 million and Sony and Activision, all these guys are like, we'll give you $100 million in 4 years and just go to do whatever.
And that's
the
what
fuck
excites
you want.
me the most.
I think that is going to happen.
I love that, because I love that Kojima is one of the only people where I don't care what project he's working on. Him being involved makes me excited about it. Silent Hills is a perfect example. Don't care about that series at all. Him being attached to that, I'm instantly like, I'm playing that.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Add him to any series that I don't really have an attachment to. If he made the next Titanfall, I'd be interested in that. He makes the next Call of Duty, I would care.
Fallout.
You know, whatever it was, I would play Fallout. You know, like I would want to know what that was. So
Seems like he got some influence from open world games. Here's the thing about this with Kojima is we talk about the deficit of trust that Konami is going to have without him, and the deficit of, like authority almost over their games without him. And this is why I think that the publishers are probably already and are going to continue to fall all over themselves to get him, is the surplus of fucking the stuff you can't pay for to get along with the game. How much will increase the perception of a brand to have Kojima on board? How much does it increase the perception of a brand if Sony goes to Kojima and says, we want that horror game, so here's $100 million, go get Guillermo del Toro, start writing it in 4 years? You know, like, what is that? Like, that's what I think, that he might want to be independent in a way, but when he gets that money, when he gets that push, and when these opportunities, and when the publishers are like, getting Kojima on board for us is going to make us look very, very good. Just like Konami looks very, very bad, regardless, as I said, of what the reality behind the scenes is. It's going to look really good for them. I can't wait to see how it all pans out, man. If I was Kojima, I'd be sitting back waiting, because it's going to come for him. Like,
you want to be enjoying your vacation?
No. Well, I would be, because I'd probably be getting paid and just hanging out. But I'm sure that his, you know, it's what we said a million times with like when Amy Hennig left Naughty Dog. I can't imagine the offers that she got. You know, so it's worth considering. You know, that he's going to end up in one of these big places. And I still say Sony in my mind is like one of those places where I'm like, this is so obvious. You know, for them, like it's too obvious.
Sony was over there. Oh, you want to go NX?
I mean, that'd be a big thing too if Nintendo wanted to throw money
NX launches with Kojima's new game.
Well, that wouldn't be possible.
Budokai 3.
Budokai.
Budokai. And I think was there a 2? I think is that what we're skipping?
I don't know. The original Budokai was interesting game.
That topic brought to you by DraftKings. Football season marches on, and while your season-long fantasy team might be going nowhere fast, every week is a new shot for glory at DraftKings.com. DraftKings is the destination for one-week fantasy football, where you can relive the fantasy draft and play for huge prizes each and every week. Challenge your friends in a custom league, or join an existing one to play for your share of the $1 billion in prizes up for grabs this year. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time. Hurry to DraftKings.com now. Use promo code KINDOFFUNNY and play for free with your first deposit in Sunday's $1 million fantasy football contest. First place takes home $100,000 and a lifetime of bragging rights. Enter Kinda Funny for free now. Yes. Wait, what?
Enter the code Kinda Funny.
Enter code Kinda Funny for
Enter
free.
Kinda Funny now.
Now.
Kids are
only
coming through the screen.
at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.